to another edition of Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV, co-hosted by wrestling and music journalist Shinblade.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
There you go. And an old friend of mine, we haven't seen each other in a few years. We have a lot in common, a fellow educator and pro wrestler, the appropriately named Steve the Teacher.
Thank you for having me, Evan.
And Steve, what level exactly do you teach?
I teach on the high school level, anywhere from 9 to 12.
9 to 12. That is a rough age, but not as rough as middle school. Middle school, those teachers earn their money.
I'll have to take your word for that one.
I taught a bottom sixth grade class with a rough principal 35 years ago, and it was a challenge to say the least. But at least with high school, you have the diploma hanging over them. What's your take on that?
I agree with you 100% from everything I've heard. Middle school is probably not the place where I would want to be.
Nothing gives them more joy than to punch and kick each other at that age. You know, it's tough. So, do your students know that you're an educator? That you're a wrestler, rather?
I just switched schools, so we are transitioning into that. Some do know. The security officers spread the word.
Okay. So, how do the students react when they hear that you're a pro wrestler?
I get a lot of questions. Respect.
Is it fake?
I do get that, yes. The F word.
Yeah.
And how do you respond to that with kids?
That it's predetermined.
So you're honest.
And that the injuries are definitely real.
Because I know that wrestlers do not like the word fake because the bad backs, the injured joints, the broken marriages, etc., so on, are not fake.
That's absolutely right.
Absolutely right. So, how did you make the transition from teacher to wrestler?
I was actually teaching in New York City, and then I had moved to New Jersey, and I just happened to catch a commercial for CZW Wrestling School at 32 years old, I believe I was.
CZW Wrestling School. Do they teach you to like jump off of buildings through flaming tables? What do they teach at the CZW Wrestling School?
Despite having such a hardcore reputation, they really didn't teach that at all.
Okay.
It's up to you to develop that on your own.
Okay.
No, they just do it during their matches. So they say, well, we're going to have a table full of glass and we're going to fall 30 feet in the air. There was a match, Joey Janela and somebody else did that like a month ago. But it's insane, especially tournament.
You could do a Mad TV parody of this. Like, okay, so for your first day of class, we're going to throw you off the building through some glass. You know. But I'll tell you a funny CZW story. This is totally true. I was associate producer on The Wrestler, and I go backstage with Darren Aronofsky, Mickey Rourke, the executive producer, the money guy, and the screenwriter at the CZW Cage of Death show. This was probably 2006 or 7 because The Wrestler came out in 2008. Probably 2007 we were there. It looked like a MASH unit backstage. It looked like a MASH unit, the Cage of Death show. So I said to Mickey Rourke, I said, "What did you think of the show?" And he goes, quote, "That was fucking great." You know, so I couldn't make this up. So it's internet TV. You're allowed to curse, by the way. I do it like once a year, and it's like an atomic bomb.
The Mick Foley method.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. But that's a true story. True story. So how have your experiences been at the CZW school?
I trained there for 8 months. I ended up having to book my own matches. In fact, you were responsible for my first ever match, if you recall.
Well, tell the audience.
Yep. I had gotten a letter or an email from one of Evan's students asking me to come and teach at your class for a day. And I did that. We ended up spending the day together. You hooked me up with Lowlife Louie Ramos.
Yeah, Lowlife Louie. I love that guy. Lowlife Louie, for those who don't know, he's a hardcore wrestler, but he loves Hulk Hogan, and he's one of the most charismatic people I've ever seen in the ring. And as far as indie wrestlers, he may be the most charismatic I've ever seen in the ring. You know, not a great technical wrestler, but the charisma is off the charts.
I did a match with him where he got on a chair, and the chair gave out on him.
Yeah.
And the crowd chanted, "You effed up, you effed up." And he screams back at them, "I didn't, the chair did."
Yeah, yeah. Louis is a larger-than-life character, and what's interesting about Louis is he's a responsible adult, a great dad. You see him doing crazy things in the ring, and you don't realize the guy's just a decent, quality human being. And I've been begging him to come on the show forever, and we're going to finally get him at some point.
I'll work on him from my side.
Low Life Louis Ramos, my buddy. I know this guy forever. From the Doghouse. We had a tribute to Bobby Lombardi here.
Did you?
Yeah. Bobby came on, and he's had some tough years health-wise, and we did a tribute to Bobby right here on the show. So shout out to Bobby Lombardi. And speaking of the Doghouse, next week we have Julius Smokes and several Doghouse wrestlers. They're going to be interviewed and rapping. So that'll be colorful as well.
Oh, sure.
And Low Life Louie. I love that guy. I mean, I just love that guy. And, you look at me, you see like a middle-aged guy, like dressed, you wouldn't imagine me and Louie are buddies, but he's a good guy. But this is about you. So you're making a comeback, and obviously you're not a kid. What motivated you to come back to wrestling later in life?
I hooked up with some old friends who I hadn't seen in 6 years, wrestlers, promoters, and I went to spend the weekend at their house. And I believe that was their mission, was to persuade me to unretire.
And does your family have reservations? You're not a kid, but scared you're going to get hurt, or?
My family's been pretty quiet on the situation.
Mostly talking about behind his back, probably.
Always.
Yeah. So give us some career highlights. You were out there for quite a while.
I've had a few. I've won 9 world championships over the time.
Okay.
My match with Jimmy Snuka was one of my favorites. Billy Gunn breaking my nose was also one of my favorites.
That's a favorite.
Yes, sir.
Why would that be a favorite?
Other than me feeling the bottom of his boot, it was, I thought, an exceptional match.
Oh, the match itself. I thought you were implying that having a legendary wrestler breaking your nose was some kind of honor.
Do you have a story behind that, or is just that he just did the boot and it crunched on the nose?
I whipped him into the corner.
Okay.
And I got a little confused. I thought that I was going to duck a boot, and he thought that he was going to throw the boot. And I ran head first. You can see my hand snap back on the video. Mm. And as I'm laying on the ground bleeding, he's apologizing to me. We're both doing a double down at the time, and I'm sorry, you okay? Can you go on? And match had to go on. I got jackknifed a few moments later.
You toughed it out.
I did.
My father was an all-city basketball player for Curtis High School, and his nose was broken 8 times. And his brother was also a basketball player on the same team. And they would always tell me that they would intentionally throw elbows and break noses back in the day. So that's changed a bit, I would think, in the NBA today. But so how's it feel to be going back to school in September? I know most teachers in August have that sick feeling in the pit of their stomach.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's even worse because I was under the impression that school started on September 6th. And I ran into a colleague accidentally, and she told me it starts September 1st. So I feel cheated now.
Interesting. I haven't taught kids in 30 years, so it's almost like a bad dream or a good dream, which depending on the day.
Actor's nightmare.
It seems like it wasn't real at this point. It was so long. I left. I'll tell you a funny story. Like I said, I had a bottom 6th grade class and a miserable principal, to be quite honest, and I left right the day before Christmas. I left the day of Christmas vacation, whatever that Friday was. And, I said, have a nice vacation, kids. This was like 1984. They're still waiting for me. True story. So I taught kids for 3.5 years. True story. True story. So what do you have coming up?
I have a couple shows booked. I have October 22nd at the National Guard Armory in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. We have quite a few names there. We have
hold up the poster.
Sure. Okay. You can go ahead.
We have the Boogeyman. He's going to be appearing, and we set up a worm zone where people pay extra money to sit in the vicinity of where he's going to be throwing the worms. In fact, they have a contest to see who can collect the most worms. This way we don't have to clean up.
Wow. That's something different. Yeah. Sounds like an afternoon on the F train, you know. Anyway.
And Sabu's going to be on the show. Gorgeous George, the former girlfriend of Randy Macho Man Savage, will be there. It's to raise money for the Armory. They're trying to shut it down. And also some of the proceeds are going to go to Penny Gass, who's a teenager with MS. And we're going to help her out. She's going to have a table set up with her own merchandise, raffles, 50-50s, the whole shebang.
And since you mentioned Sabu, he has a GoFundMe going on right now.
Correct.
He needs hip surgery. It's scheduled for September. It's totally legit. And I hope people will go to the GoFundMe, GoFundMe.com, just punch in Sabu and help out. Because here's a guy who sacrificed. We always hear the term sacrifice your body. This guy literally sacrificed his body, going through tables, crashing to the ground time and time again. And I was just having this conversation with Shin in the car on the way over here. The best wrestling match I saw in the past 20 years on an indie show in New York was Phoenix and Pentagon Jr. a couple weeks ago for Lucha Libre Promotions New York. But 20 years ago, the previous best indie match I saw in New York was Sabu against Terry Funk. Unbelievable.
The barbed wire match?
I saw that also, but
Okay.
this was even better. This was at the Hammerstein Ballroom,
Okay.
and it was not ECW. It was an indie. I forget who it was at this point, but it was a 5-star match. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, Sabu and Terry Funk. And I saw Sabu many times in ECW, and tremendous. And, of course, the original Sheik was his uncle,
Right.
and he looks just like him at this point. You see a picture of Sabu, he's 51, 52, whatever. He looks just like the original Sheik.
Right.
I don't know about that, Evan Ginsberg, you egg-sucking dog, you.
Yeah, I love Terry Funk.
Terry Funk.
And since we're talking about old school, we just had this controversy on Facebook. The Miz said some critical things of Daniel Bryan, and I saw Daniel Bryan 10 years ago. I don't even know if you consider that old school, but
I don't even know that's controversy, because I thought it was like...
well, let me tell the viewers what he said first, because
Okay.
you can't assume everybody's a hardcore fan who knows. So, The Miz was saying that his style of wrestling will keep a career, ongoing. He's never been hurt in 10 years, etc., so on. Daniel Bryan, who did all kinds of high spots and dangerous moves, his career is over at a young age. Okay, valid point. But my point is, you create art. Okay, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, his matches with Nigel McGuinness, for example, in Ring of Honor, his matches with Morishima in Ring of Honor. This is art that will stand the test of time 100 years from now, while The Miz is wrestling 2.5-star matches nightly. On a good night, maybe he could elevate it to 3 stars. The guy's out there 10 years. I couldn't name 5 great matches. I couldn't do it.
Right.
So, okay, so The Miz could go 20 years and have make money, and that's fine. But my point is, you always create art. Art would stay. Jackie Chan was quoted as saying, "So what if I break my ankle? So what? It's on the screen forever." Okay, so that I'd rather be a Bruce Lee or a James Dean, where you burn out quickly, but you leave great art for the ages, than to have 87 bad movies on your resume, like a lot of the actors. Well, what's your take on this?
Again, I agree with you, Evan.
You don't have to agree.
No, I know.
I'm open to get to discussion.
You can be on my side of things with this conversation.
My style is more of old school, but I've definitely had my share of injuries, for sure.
Okay.
You mentioned ankle. I broke my ankle in one match and I had to wrestle the very next match. And then I had to drive 2.5 hours to York, Pennsylvania on a broken ankle and wrestle.
What's it feel like wrestling on a broken ankle? Since none of us have done this.
I didn't know it was broken at first. I thought I just got rolled. But the worst part was driving back and forth 2.5 hours.
The driving
That's
was
where it
worse than the
cramped up.
wrestling. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
In fact, I won 2 championships that day.
There you go. With a broken ankle.
With a broken ankle, so it's just like what Kurt Angle would say. I won a world championship on a broken freaking neck.
True.
What you did with a broken ankle.
So your point would be that you leave it in the ring and you give 110% every match. Is it, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
I can do my best.
Okay. So Shin, why do you disagree with me?
Well, I believe it was like a half shoot and half work because some people blur the lines like that. But Miz had some right points about style. I mean, a lot of the old school wrestlers that I talked to Cheap Plug, Jake the Snake, last night at Baltimore Soundstage. A lot of the old school wrestlers like him and Greg Valentine say, you don't have to jump up and down and flip up and flip down. And there was a match about a couple months ago with Will Ospreay and Ricochet.
That's
in the,
great.
Japan round robin tournament. And I agree with him, but the match, everybody just was visually clung on to that match because they remember it. And, Big Van Vader talked about it, and, him and Will Ospreay had a match in England, and they were like, F you, Vader. So, I agree with Evan saying about Art, but, I agree with Miz because he can last 20 years. He can do anything he wants. He can walk out.
But the thing is, Greg Valentine in his prime
was
great. He was tremendous. The Miz is not a tremendous wrestler.
Well, a lot of people hate him because there's a number of people that hate him because he used to be a reality show star, but that was 16 years ago. So you take 2000 and 2004 because he did the Tough Enough on SmackDown, which they did very open Tough Enough. But after that, he went to the developmental system and trained. Now this is when indie is still indie right now, but it was when indie was not popping and not all the stars were venturing indie rounds. It was like you get the developmental, you got it made.
Correct.
So when Miz was doing that, he was still working from the bottom. And then when he got to the main roster, he was over like a lead balloon, trying to incorporate the real world into wrestling, which didn't work. He did a tag team with Morrison, which everybody loved Morrison, because he had the style, glitz, and glamour of his moves. And, he got kicked out the locker room eating chicken. So he really had to work and fight everybody, period, internally and in and out the ring, period. So I give him a lot of credit on that because I know Evan heard about a lot of wrestlers that as soon as somebody says one or two different things, they're out the door. They don't want to do it. They quit.
Right.
And he's worked through so much. I mean, not to disrespect him, but he had a world title match at WrestleMania. How many guys have ever done that? Even though nobody really cared about it. But it
was the worst main event in the history of WrestleMania.
Come on now.
What was worse than that?
I mean, we can go all day right now. Probably like Bret Hart and Yokozuna. They didn't really move, and I'm a Bret Hart fan. But it was just the fact that he was overshadowed.
Okay, so it was the second worst main event.
He was overshadowed by Dwayne Johnson because everybody loves The Rock. So whenever The Rock's in the building, all focus is on him and what he does. But he fought for so much to have real estate that he's seen many guys come and go.
Name me 5 great Miz matches. He's out there 10 years.
Well,
name me 5.
I can name you probably 2.
Okay. Well, what does that tell you? In 10 years.
Well, like it's preservation. I mean, like I said, the whole crap stain on Miz. I'm not gonna curse. The whole crap stain on Miz is that he's a reality show star. I'm not
talking about any of that. I'm judging what this guy does in the ring, and inevitably, it's not particularly good. The best match I saw him in was this year when he had that 4-man, the main event on a pay-per-view.
And plus, you popped over Mizdow when they put them together, and Damian Sandow, Aaron Rex, and TNA Television. He mimicked the Miz, and everybody got over on him, but. Like I said, he's still making the money. Daniel Bryan has the personality doing CWC and being a general manager. I think personally that's his contract because he couldn't end it.
Daniel Bryan his matches will be watched 100 years from now because he's an artist. And
so you didn't cringe when he had his neck surgery and he came back He do the corner drop kick where he rolls.
Actually, I did, because if you care about wrestling, you don't want to see these guys hurt. And that, but my point is, ultimately, I have more respect for Daniel Bryan's 10, 12, 15-year run than I will for the Miz going 30 years. Because ultimately, Daniel Bryan has left a rich legacy in the ring. The Miz is a good talker. That's great.
I think not to get on Daniel Bryan, or I'm gonna call him Bryan Danielson. He's retired. He birthed the flippy do wrestlers that flip a lot. But for me,
he's better than that. He's the guy.
Very technical.
The guy's a great technical wrestler.
And I love technical wrestling, as you know. Zack Sabre Jr. But also, it's the fact that seeing the movie The Wrestler, it hit me when even Evan was in the scene. The VFW hall, when Mickey Rourke looks around and all the wrestlers are in wheelchairs and crutches because they couldn't walk out. They were forced to leave. And the one thing I agree about The Miz is that he can walk out. If tomorrow was the day that he wanted to quit, he
but
can
there's
quit.
a there's a happy medium. Like we mentioned, Greg Valentine. Greg Valentine was a great wrestler. He put on great wrestling. He slowed down considerably later in his career.
He had no personality.
But in the 70s and 80s, Greg Valentine was as good as anybody. I saw Greg Valentine do 1 hour Broadways at the Garden. I mean, Valentine was the real deal. The Miz is nothing special. Nothing special.
I mean, taste is subjective, so I'm not going to be.
You can't mention the Miz and Greg Valentine in the same breath. Come on.
Well, they're both Intercontinental
in his
champions.
prime. In his prime.
They're both, like I say, they're both Intercontinental champions.
Everybody and his mother's a champion today. It's a different. You remember back in the day, a Stan Stasiak would hold the belt for a couple of days, and he lived off of it the rest of his life.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, back then the belts meant something. Tommy Rich had a short run, for the NWA, but today everybody holds a belt. It doesn't have the same prestige.
Well, I don't want to take over the show, but what do you think about these belts now today, where they're just throwing them out and just creating every other year? You say, okay, these people don't have belts, we're going to create a belt. We're going to paint.
I'm going to create a belt. Now that we have the universal belt, I want to be the intergalactic champion. I want to be the champion of the entire galaxy. This is how ridiculous it's getting.
He's going to wrestle aliens.
That's right. I'm going to wrestle aliens. Speaking of wrestling, tonight, Ring of Honor at Cyclone Stadium in Brooklyn, or I should say MCU Park. And New Japan is going to be there. All the New Japan guys. That's the show to see, folks. Tonight, you missed the birth of your mother and father. Come out to MCU Park in Coney Island, Brooklyn. 5:30 National Anthem. I think they're going to have some prelims. 6 o'clock is the main show. So come on out. You'll enjoy it. And shout out to Prince Nana. So, Steve, anything you want to plug?
I also have a show coming up November 19th. The Outsiders will be there. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. And we'll have Sonny will be there. Gorgeous George will be back there. And, of course, I'll be there as well.
There you go. Shin, plug whatever you want to plug.
You can catch my show Shy Lounge on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. If you want to see me on Facebook, catch me on Facebook at Official Shinblade. They're using @ now. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram under Shinsational1, SHINSATIONALONE. I just did interviews with the famous Johnny Crabcakes of Baltimore, Maryland. I did Kim Coles and John Hinton of Living Single, the hit 90s show, and I just did Jake the Snake Roberts last night. So catch those next week if you can. Subscribe, click, listen to it, and throw some comments if you want to.
There you go. And you can listen to me on Main Event Madness most Thursday nights, 8 to 10 p.m. at wrestling-news.net. I'm a correspondent, John Curry, Mark Madison, the host. And when we come back, folks, we're going to talk R&B, we're going to talk current movies, we're going to have some live music in studio. So don't you dare go anywhere. This is the eclectic mix known as Legends TV.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hog's hair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly used in Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this, you'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue Tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
We are the Stylistics Review, and you're watching Madhousetv.com.
All right, we are back with Legends TV. Honored to have singer, producer, Nias. How are you today?
Good, Evan. Good to be here.
There you go. And you have a very rich background. I'm a huge R&B buff. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, actually, I've been doing music all my life. I kind of got away from it when I was younger, so I'm coming back now because everything's changing.
So why did you get away from it?
Well, you know, I think the business was very different back then. It was very hard. You had to become an artist, sign to a label, all that kind of stuff, and that process was a little crazy. But now there's so many opportunities for music creators. You don't have to be on a major. In fact, I think it's probably the worst thing that could happen to you right now is to get signed to a major label deal. As long as you're a creator, there's actually so many opportunities for you to be successful.
And just to give the viewers an idea, I have friends like Lawrence Worrell, who's from Bernie Worrell's family, and Cooley High, who's a hip-hop artist based out of Vegas now. And what they do and what you do is you get your music onto films, commercials, even ringtones, anything you possibly can to get your music out there and to generate income, as opposed to live gigs, which are very hard.
Very hard.
Yeah.
In fact, a nice story is Ingrid Michaelson. She's an artist. Actually, she's still independent, but she blew up because of licensing. So now the best thing is to kind of get, as long as you're a master owner, if you can get your music out there, you probably will end up getting a deal because the majors will look at you. But some people like her just choose to stay independent, and you can be making 6-7 figures.
What I find interesting is you have name artists who were at one point on major labels who decide to go independent. I believe Bilal would be an example of that.
Oh, man.
Bilal's awesome.
Yes, he
awesome.
is.
And there were some great independent artists who are not kids, but who figured out the business end of things and are doing it the right way, as opposed to, practically begging the record companies, where's my residuals, where's...
Yeah, you give your money away, and actually, like I said, as long as you're a creator, if you keep your masters, it used to be now they would go to the record companies.
Yeah, they would stack tapes and give the A&R people, and it would take like 3-5 years in order to listen to that tape that you just did now, and they would look at you. And honestly, I think I may be answering the question I'm asking, but could it be the technology in order to distribute your music that made you come back, and all the creativity and to come back to music?
I think the MP3 kind of wrecked the music business, and it actually had to tear itself down and rebuild itself. But yes, it wasn't like this before. Now, actually, you can, if you're a content owner, they actually have movies. They actually look for independent artists. Whereas before, they wanted major artists. Now, these music supervisors are saying, independent artists, as long as your music kind of is up on par, you're making big time money, and they'll reserve one slot for a major artist.
Well, the thing is that now we have kind of like sites like SoundCloud, which I do myself. You can catch Shy Lounge on SoundCloud. But I have a group from Roanoke, Virginia called Illiteracy. I don't rap in it, but the producer Chris Prism is a friend of mine, and he sent me beats for my show like just all the time. And that's a way to getting into business, because who knows, could be listening to Shy Lounge. It could be a producer and say, I want that group. And you don't have to travel all the way from the sticks in Virginia to New York and try to market so much, because you can do it from the internet.
Exactly.
And send it off.
On my way here, I actually reached out to a person on Indaba Music, and I liked what they were doing and wanted them to do a remix. I'll see if they hit me back, but that's the kind of, that's the kind of business we're in right now. So it really is about creators retaining their content, and then you have to learn your craft so that you know how to make the money off of it, because there's different levels.
Oh, of course. And tell us about your business, intellectual properties.
Well, basically, it's just that. It's like most people in music know an intellectual property is a song or film or anything, and as long as you own it, that intellectual property, then you're able to sell it, as opposed to the way when you go get a deal, the record company owns your music. Right. So you just stay in debt to them, and you don't even own the stuff that you created.
Prince went through all that drama.
Yes.
And you know where we got that from originally, right?
Where's that?
James Brown.
Yes.
James Brown and Ray Charles, they said, if you want to sign me, I'll do music for you, but I own my own material.
Yeah, I remember that line in the movie.
Yeah.
He said, can I own my own masters?
Yeah. They're like, oh, you're joking. He's like,
it's going to have to be that way.
Yeah, seriously.
Some of these guys have fought and are still fighting for decades. Chuck Berry fought for decades. He got a penny a song, but ultimately he sold so many records that it was a significant amount of money. George Clinton's still fighting for his songwriting, etc. So on. It's a tough business, and people forget it's show business. You heard all the horror stories with various groups. we're charging you for the video, we're charging you for the wardrobe, we're charging, by the time you're done, you sell millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff. You owe the record company money.
Exactly.
Come on.
Most notably TLC. Back in 94, 95, like the hottest female group in the 90s, and they were broke.
Yeah,
It was
I believe
harder.
Toni Braxton had a similar scenario.
And now she's playing Vegas and making like 6-7 figures.
Okay.
And not to mention dating Birdman also, with all the tattoos on his face. But being in the industry, what inspired you to get into music? Number one.
Well, when I was young, it was the artistic side of me, just write, and then I was writing before I was singing.
Really?
So I actually wrote songs, and I sung the songs to let people hear that I could write, and they said, "Oh, you can sing."
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out I had this big octave range voice and all that kind of stuff.
You have
and
a
I was
5-octave range. That's amazing.
Goodness.
But yeah, that's what they told me.
You know who had an unbelievable range? Sarah Vaughan.
Yes.
Sarah Vaughan could go high to low in like a second. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I can't even master one. That's how bad it is.
I have a no octave range. Yeah.
But I've been asking you your influence. I think that question got a little mixed up. But you have this blues. You have the classic R&B, like a little Luther or something. Because nowadays I can't stand R&B music like this 2000s because it's all about the physical, and that's what they want. But Luther, who turned out to be they say he turned out to be a homosexual after his death. They hid. He had songs where like you could just sit down and listen to the music, and whatever happens between you and your significant other, your date, was your business. And that's what I purely enjoyed about R&B. And some of them were just get up and dance. And honestly, I think Evan knows one of my favorite R&B albums of all time is Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite.
Urban Hang Suite.
Front to back.
That is the date album. I just saw Maxwell at the Barclays a couple of months ago, and he's still great.
Yeah.
See, you're saying there's no good R&B in 2016. You got Maxwell, you got Anthony Hamilton. Anthony Hamilton could hold his own with anybody back in the day. I just saw El DeBarge a couple of weeks ago. El DeBarge is still great.
Anthony Hamilton could still sing the Goats. There was a video that was circulated.
Oh yeah, I saw that with his band.
Week. Yeah. I
Had
didn't
like 5 million views. That's what you do. Sing to some goats. People like animals. 5 million views.
Well, that's the difference between music and the music business.
Yeah.
This music is still out there, but the business kind of suppresses it now. And you have stuff that's generated toward the younger audience, and I'm not against that, but we've lost a rich heritage because R&B was driving pop.
Here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. When you go home today, sing one of your originals with a baby on your lap and a cat by your side. That's 20 million views right there. Babies and cats.
Yeah, because
that's the internet.
But I hear to retract. I'm not retracting. I'm gonna justify my statement. When I say there's no good R&B nowadays in 2010s, I didn't talk about Maxwell or Anthony Hamilton. They can actually sing. But it's just the formula of the record industry is like, if you're 20 years old, you're 21, we can mold him. All we gotta do.
Try 13 or 14.
That's true. Yeah. We put money on the table. This is all your money. Just sign it. It's like a Don King contract. And Don King, one of the biggest crooks in boxing ever. You also know that too.
No comment.
No.
Sue him, not me. He said it.
Hey,
no comment.
Hey, I'm talking about a guy who stopped a man to death back in the day, and nobody bats an eye to it. But we just hand out these Don King contracts to kids, and what they see first, the money. They make $20 million a year. They're gonna take the money and run.
And it is changing though when you think about Bieber and a lot of these guys that kind of came.
Yeah, I don't talk about him.
But he came to promise
Johnny Manziel of music.
So what's your take on ageism in the music industry?
That's always been there, but I think it has become more extreme. But I am pleased by the fact of what's happening now. There are a lot of people that are kind of using the internet because that has become the leveler. But what they have to do is, you don't have these companies as banks anymore. You have to kind of get together and do it yourself. And there's a
Right.
lot of projects out there where people are keeping their masters, financing themselves, having moderate success, and they come out with more money than, like you said, if they sign this big deal and they sell all these records, but they're still in debt to the record company. So I would like to see more of that. And I think with what's happening with licensing, as people start to wake up, they will try to keep their masters and promote that stuff. And after a while, there's a process to it, or a process. But after a while, I think we will see more of, like you said, Maxwell just released something recently.
It was, he released Black Summer's Night, and I have that one, and I have the Black Summer's Night. I'm confused on how he titles it, but it is very good. Like he sings, because he does the Sade method, where like he goes on his own. He's not pressured to put another album.
Exactly.
Also another great band. I love the saxophonist Stuart Matthewman,
Yes.
who did the first Maxwell album. He lives somewhere here in New York. I'm trying to find him.
Wow.
So it's just that artist creativity is number one to me, because it drives me insane that all these little kids or somebody that record companies kind of push or whore out. I can't listen to them, but I can go to a near dive bar where they have open mic, and I hear somebody who's been singing for 20, 30 years. I'm like, why is this guy haven't been signed? Why haven't he been signed?
Because of ageism.
You know,
Yeah.
not only that, but there's some young people that's like 21, 22 years old. That's like the recently departed Amy Winehouse that sings these old 50s, 60s, 70s songs, but they never get signed because they don't fit the formula.
Well, that's why they have to actually now wake up and realize, kind of finance yourself. I know that's difficult, but I'm in a licensing course, and one of the things that the lady always says is just, like, don't say no. The trick is not resources, it's to be resourceful. So if you have this, if this is what you love to do, find somebody that believes in you, try to get your little project going, then take it to the next level. It will come, but you got to be in it to win it. But there's a lot of people out there. If I can drop a name, Lettucey.
Lettucey's awesome.
Goodness.
Killer. And she's still out there. Maybe doesn't have like this big following like some people think. I think she's underrated.
She has an underground following.
Yes. But people like that will continue to make music, and what we need to do is just support them at these shows, their projects, so that they can continue to stay viable.
I'm going to throw out two names that may not even be as well known as Lettucey, but are tremendous. Cody Chestnut
Yes.
and Avery Sunshine. I love Avery Sunshine. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This woman, just from the heart, every
Yes.
note, every
Yes.
note.
I actually have her
Great
on my
R&B.
iTunes.
Yeah, tremendous.
I actually met Cody Chestnut 13 years ago at a Roots concert. Very, very nice guy. This is when that song, The Seed 2.0, was in, and guitarist Martin Luther. But also what you were saying is support. Now, it's another point that also kind of drives me insane. And I'm not an insane guy. I'm a Zen guy, as you know. But it's just that, when these people go around, and it's almost the same as wrestling, they have their merchandise, and it's like, come support me, come support. And they look at him like, who are you? Like, I'm going to support this guy over here that has no material, no substance to the material, but they're making all the concerts. They're making Madison Square Garden, not to drop a name, or Baltimore Arena. But this person over here is $10 to buy a tape. You can't pay $10.
Support the little guy.
You can't pay $10, but you'll pay $15, $20 for the MP3.
People are selectively poor.
Yes.
They'll say, I got $150 to see, somebody on the top 10, but this indie artist, I don't want to pay a $10 cover or buy a CD for $10. It's really reprehensible.
Can I get in free? Can you hook me up with a ticket?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
The guy's got a $700 phone in his hand. It's always the same,
Yes.
it's always the same thing.
The industry has done that, though. I mean, we have a generation of people who don't even want to pay for music because they got it free.
Yeah.
And they have
It's a
to
sense of entitlement.
reoriented now to support, and they're trying to do it with streaming. Let's see if that really takes hold. It seems like it's taking some hold, but I don't think it will be as it was before.
Why don't you set up your music video? We want to get a
Okay.
taste of your music.
Well, actually, this is kind of what we're talking about, the older school thing. And instead of trying to do a radio hit, I just tried to do something that artistically I loved.
You cursed on the record, didn't you?
No.
When they say not radio friendly, I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna be dirty.
Well, I'm saying in
joking.
terms of length, I
Okay.
really and a lot of people, and it's funny because I put it out there in some format, and people were saying, "Oh, we don't know what to do with it. It's great music." But yes, I just did what I felt, and this came out, and I think it's a nice.
Now wait a minute, you talk about length and everything, and there's a record out since the '60s or something called Freebird that's like
82 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm
82
joking.
minutes long.
Anyway, let's go to the video, folks. Check it out.
I can't live this life without you. I can't live my life without you. Don't wanna live this life without you. I can't.
And we got a brief taste of the video. Are we going back to the video? That's it?
Yeah, it's a teaser, but it will be out on Spotify. We had a little technical issue where the whole thing didn't download, but it'll be on Spotify, on iTunes. The song is actually now on iTunes, on all the digital formats, so you can hear the song. The video will be coming out soon. Hopefully, I can get this licensed in a movie or something.
You couldn't download your own music?
No, actually, I brought the link, but we weren't able to get the whole thing.
Oh, okay, no problem, no problem. I'm teasing to the point where I'm about to run out of here and just get the record just to make sure I can see the whole thing.
Yeah, it's really nice. It was done at the Highline Ballroom,
Yes.
right outside. We used the Highline Park, and it was really. I wish you could have seen the whole thing, but
All right.
It was very nice. I love the camera work. Man, I gotta get in contact with whoever does that because I just loved it.
Bill Herndon, a friend of mine, and actually when we filmed it, then he kind of put that color correction. That's why it looks kind of like movie-esque.
Yes.
So actually, it's been doing very well over in India, Dubai.
Oh, they love the music over
yeah,
there.
yeah.
And plus the women are clothed, which is a great thing because you have these videos now where the women got to wear a thong or a bathing suit just to sell the music, and I personally think not. I don't think that should be a cause to do that.
Shout out to Oliver Shawn, who's been a good friend to the show. And
Definitely.
has sent some tremendous talent our way. So tell us about some musical influences.
Everything. I love R&B, but I went to a school in Manhattan called Art and Design. So I've always had the influence. So, I mean, I maybe not shouldn't throw out some of these things. I would listen to hard rock just as much as I would listen to R&B.
Interesting.
And in terms of production, I try to mix everything up. This particular song, you may not hear it in, although you might hear some jazz influences in there. But with the one I'm going to do, you'll hear that it's kind of mixed up, and none of my songs sound alike. It's everything from a production standpoint kind of comes out of a different bag.
Any particular artist influence you when you started?
I love people who have a unique sound. So you mentioned Sade. Loved Sade because of what she did. She was a woman of color at the time in the 80s who came out and actually held her own and got signed. And they really put her in the pop category. So I love, I even love what David Guetta does. Totally different genre, but he has his own sound. I like people like that instead of the cookie cutout people who just sound like somebody else.
Well, Sade is hard to categorize because you just said pop, and they put her on smooth jazz, which is okay. I'm not a big fan of smooth jazz.
Right.
I kind of catch it as bluesy type way.
Mm-hmm. She had all those influences: African music, jazz. But what I liked is that when you listened to her, you heard all that stuff, and they didn't. I think it's because she came out of England.
Yeah.
They didn't put her in that quote unquote urban category and kill her.
Yeah.
She actually was allowed to be in the pop category and compete with those people. And for that time, I think that was monumental. So hats off to Sade.
I find it unbelievable that there are artists who are tremendous and are not on major labels at this point. I just saw Stephanie Mills, who is as great as anybody, 59 years old. Patti LaBelle's 70.
Mm-hmm.
How are they not on major labels at this point?
What you said before, a little bit of ageism, and we've been taught to kind of say, well, if you're not young, you're not viable anymore. But as I was saying before, if they have live shows or they're doing stuff and you support, then people will actually see that, and they tend to greenlight them a little bit easier. But R&B as a whole has dried up. Like I said, it's not driving pop anymore. Everything is about, and I'm not against, but everything is about kind of like the rap type influence music. And yeah, we got to change that. And you're right, these people are there and they're still making money because they go around and they tour. Yeah, but there's an easier way to make money.
Sure. Best shows I saw this year: Stephanie Mills, El DeBarge, Larry Graham. Nobody touches Larry Graham. He's 70 years old.
Yeah.
Guy does 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Amazing. And also I think it's like this fast life type thing because, you know, Stephanie Mills and Patti LaBelle, whenever she's not making pies, it's like
another source of income.
Yeah.
That's good.
She does a lot. But it's just that, that fast life can tear people down and stress them out, the price of fame. And sometimes they just look back and say, I need to take a step back. Because there was a time where Patti LaBelle where nobody could touch her. Like, nobody could get in the same room with her. She was like one of the first divas ever, But like I said, you're right about that. I'm a hip-hop guy. And to me, there is no hip-hop, period, unless it's all underground.
Exactly.
And, now it's just like these little boys rapping and it drives my stress up pretty bad when I see these little boys and they like, if you gonna put an old school beat, I'm not gonna rap old school. I'm a rock star, and I'm like, dude, you're a crappy rapper. And when they rap, they say, I'm like, I can do that.
Right.
I can't rap, but I can do what they do, and I don't think that should be right.
I just want to say, for public consumption, for the young people that go, that's my parents' music, it's corny. And for the old people who go, there's been no good music since back in the day, you're both morons. Thank you. No, really, whenever they make these blanket statements, there's no good music, come on.
I can say that as far as like the artists that they push. Because some of them from That's My Parents movie are still going.
Even in the top 40, 10% of it is going to be worth listening to. There's always quality music. The vast majority of the quote-unquote, top 40 or whatever's being played, it's crap, no doubt. But you can't make blankets. It's not all crap.
No, I can't do that. I could go most, if not some. And like I said, it shouldn't be to the point where I can get on my computer, my Apple Windows, and I can do what they do. Because music is an actual talent. You can't give me a guitar today, and then tomorrow I'm Jimi Hendrix. It just cannot happen.
But you can make a horrible singer sound good with auto-tune.
Yes, you can.
I cringe when I hear good singers using auto-tune.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Yeah, it actually has become a staple now. So it has its own sound and textures. But
it sounds robotic. It sounds emotionless for the most part. You know who could pull it off? Roger Troutman.
There you go.
Roger Troutman could pull it off. But he was a genius. There's a difference.
But he did it differently. Now today is Kanye West and T-Pain, and it's like you can't sing unless you put this in your face. And
Kanye actually has a pretty good tone. And as a producer, he's like,
well, he's out there in Mars somewhere. Because I'm gonna be open with his last two CDs were just horrible.
Wow.
And I'm a Kanye West.
Not me, Kanye.
I'm a Kanye West.
He's honest.
I'm a Kanye West fan. Yeah, this is going viral on Facebook. I'm a Kanye West fan since College Dropout when he first came out. But when he came out with Yeezus and Life of Pablo, it didn't have that boom bap feel, and it was crap. If they didn't call it rap, it would have been a great album. Like, period. But it didn't. Plus the outlandish things he does on social media, where he talks about how you should respect me because I'm a genius. And Jimi Hendrix walked around. He had the guitar and the music, and everybody praised him. He's like, I just do what I do. I can't help that.
Well, we separate sometimes the people from the artistry. I respect his or any person's body of work, and they're allowed some zeros.
Yeah, I mean, you'll never hear about me talk about how great I am and whether who I interview and who I'm sitting next to. It's just that I did it. I'm very blessed for my life, and that's just it. Because at the end of the day, where do you go home to? Well, apparently some of these guys got $1 million mansions, so they feel good about themselves. But at the end of the day, it's all about, to me, soul. All about keeping the...
It's about creating art.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with somebody like Kanye, he's done some great work, but sometimes the nonsense overshadows the work.
That's
you know,
true.
you're talking about Kim Kardashian's ass instead of his, his CD. And, you're talking about his feuds instead of the CD. It gets lost in the mix somehow. And I think it's unfortunate to a degree.
Yes.
Well, controversy does create like some kind of build around people. Like it creates some kind of stock to make them go up. I mean, look at Donald Trump. He goes up with the stock.
Yeah,
every piece
but
of
a
controversy.
guy like Maxwell could sell out an arena just doing quality work. You don't have to be feuding with somebody.
And nobody reports it.
No, I'm serious. It really, I don't know. I think it works against you more than it works for you. Unless Kanye's talented enough where he doesn't need it all.
No.
Well, you're always going to have the yin and the yang, but let's support the positive side so that those guys don't go into obscurity, because there's so many good artists that are obscure, like a Maxwell who doesn't get the attention that he deserves.
Maxwell does okay. He's making money.
He makes a lot of money, but he doesn't get that rock star type of attention. He does from the females, but it's not
or
like
the accolades, say like on the Grammy time, when you see people like Ledisi overlooked.
Yeah.
I feel bad when you know.
I feel a lot of pain for that.
I have so much respect for someone like an Avery Sunshine, who's not a kid, who's not a size 2, who's doing quality work for adults. You know who's great also? Kindred Family Soul.
Yes.
Oh my
These are
goodness.
adults that do quality work for adults, and I would support them before I would some celebrity who's just churning out product.
Exactly.
Well, they were part of the neo soul movement, which was a great movement back in 2002, 2003. Part of it was like an offshoot of Soul Aquarians, with Jill Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw Jill Scott a week ago,
Lucky.
and I walked out of there going, I feel empowered as a single woman. That's a joke. That's a joke. But that's basically what her show's about. Jill Scott's excellent. She's excellent.
I had never seen Jill Scott in my life. I'm afraid to in concert.
Unfortunately, I saw her the night after Larry Graham, and nobody touches Larry Graham.
Oh,
but
man.
Jill Scott is definitely worth seeing.
Yes.
But I say this as actually as a musician. The greatest concert you ever been to, what was it?
I actually respected, and I don't want to sound wrong, I wasn't a big Luther fan, but when I saw him in concert, I respected him. He put on a solid show.
Wait. Big Luther or Little Luther?
He wasn't so little when I saw him.
Okay.
But he still, his show was like clockwork. There was professionalism to it. I just miss that, because shows nowadays are about hype, lights, explosions, but he really did
Luther
a good
doing
show.
House Is Not a Home live is as great as anything you can ever
Exactly.
see, ever.
Exactly.
Best show I ever saw, Al Green, 1975. He whipped the women into such a frenzy. Every woman in the audience stormed the stage. You couldn't even see him. They just stormed the stage. I'll never forget this. Al Green, 1975.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, guys, we have to wrap this up because we have the Under the Radar film review segment, and you're going to sing live for us later. Anything you'd like to plug first?
Look for Go and Chill Out Zone number 7. This song, Without You, is on there. The song I'm going to perform hopefully will be on independent number 1s. And hopefully you see some placements as they come out, maybe in movies. I'm looking to do that. Movies, advertisements, TV shows.
There you go.
Nice
Quality
intellectual
music. Shin told me your music reminded him a little of Will Downing. That's a high compliment.
Thanks, yeah.
And I heard it during sound check, and I'm like, this guy, he has it. It's gonna frustrate me again because I'm gonna go positive. I want to hear at least your song on a theme song somewhere. Residual checks all over.
Yeah, constant residuals.
Yes.
There you go. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to talk movies and we're going to have live music later in the show. So don't you dare go anywhere. More of the eclectic mix known as Legends TV after this very brief commercial timeout.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin. Galaxy.
We are the Stylistics Review, and you're watching Madhousetv.com.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with that computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas with a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this. You'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
Hi guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another edition of Unger the Radar. And with me again is videographer Erica A. Hey Erica.
Hey Randy, thanks for having me on. We've got 3 movies this week.
We do. What's the first movie?
So our first movie, Funimation, brought to live action a beloved anime and manga in Rurouni Kenshin. It's a movie that is actually a trilogy. It's 3 parts. The first part already came out. All the main characters are there, Kenshin and the whole gang. The costumes are just mostly pretty spot on, and the scenery was so beautiful. What did you think? As a novice, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not well versed in anime or things of that nature, unfortunately, but after seeing this movie, I think I'm going to start. The production values were amazing. The fight choreography was great, as costumes as well, the music, the locations, the sets, everything about it was really, it was very cohesive, and it worked well.
So, check it out. This is the poster to Rurouni Kenshin. So, keep looking for Rurouni Kenshin. Origins has already come out, so catch up. And next month, part 2 is coming out. It is coming out this week and next month in select theaters for the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th.
Correct, yeah.
So what's our next movie?
Our next movie is called Complete Unknown, and it's a dark mystery starring Rachel Weisz and Michael Shannon. Rachel Weisz plays a woman who has pretty much gone off the grid, left everything behind, and basically tries to reinvent herself by becoming different people, changing her identity, only until she meets Michael Shannon, her former lover. Here's a trailer.
There's this moment when you're a blank slate. I realized I could be anyone I wanted. I could live 1,000 lives.
Happy birthday!
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday!
It just means everything to me that we're here together. And to my lovely wife, cheers.
Cheers!
Tom, this is Alice Manning.
Nice to meet you.
Alice. Alice.
So that's Complete Unknown, guys. Really interesting movie. Not the most. The story wasn't that great, to be honest.
That's
but,
spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, the plot itself, not the strongest thing. I can't blame any of the actors. All the actors, not just the two main characters, all the actors were really great. But the story was sort of bleak and not really mysterious.
Yeah.
Not really a mystery. It was just sort of like, okay, she's went back with her new persona to her old life,
Yeah.
and there she is.
Yeah, I mean, you've got an Academy Award-winning actress, Rachel Weisz, and Michael Shannon, who is pretty much great in everything. And they
not everything.
Well, whatever.
Okay.
They were great in this, but unfortunately, just the script and the story, it didn't allow them to stretch their legs a little bit, and just the movie was just, in my opinion, a little dull. And it's sad because they're both very good actors, and they usually elevate all the material that they come across.
I mean, I wouldn't say dull. I'd say dark.
Dark.
It was sort of just dark, and it made you just not want to be there. It made you not want to lead your life anymore. It made you not want to watch her life.
Mm-hmm.
As she's talking about leading all these secret lives that she changes her name.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make me care what's going to happen at the end.
Right.
I did enjoy, though, the two cameo appearances.
Kathy Bates and Danny Glover
Yes.
actually make a nice couple in the movie, in a very supporting role. So they're actually worth watching as well. Also, if you are fans of Weisz and Shannon, then I strongly agree that you check this movie out. Otherwise, you can just skip it. Yeah.
Don't go to see it, but it's in theaters now.
It is in theaters now. And what's also in theaters now is a very popular movie that pretty much everyone on the planet has seen already, to some mixed reviews, unfortunately.
But this has been big on the radar all month, so
Very
we don't
big.
want to skip it.
Yes, very big on the radar. It's Suicide Squad, the DC Comics action adventure starring Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Viola Davis, and
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto is the Joker. Here is a clip.
You're late.
This is Katana. She's got my back. She can cut all you in half with one sword stroke, just like mowing the lawn. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
Harley Quinn, nice to meet ya. Love your perfume. What is that? The scent of death?
Whoa, easy, cowgirl. Ain't that kind of a mission. Have a seat.
She seems nice.
Okay, guys, so that's the immensely popular Suicide Squad, now out in theaters. And with us today to discuss the film is host of Shy Lounge,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Shin Blade. How are you, Shin?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah?
We were talking about Suicide Squad here. I had to jump in.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
We just watched a clip of the team first coming together, but we've all seen the movie. What did you think?
Yeah.
Man, it was okay. I'm on the mixed to negative side about this, because it was a lot of things that didn't sync up well with the movie. There was really no chemistry with the team, and plus with the writing, they were trying to make it funny. Every time they tossed something to Will Smith, it was like, you might want to and try to throw a line. It was like Fresh Prince playing Deadshot. And that was it. Like Jared Leto playing the Joker. Oh God, that was awesome! But
I wanted to see more of him.
He had no screen time.
I know.
And this is another movie that's built on the curse of DC.
Yeah.
Their new theme of trying to connect things that don't work.
And I'm gonna put. I don't do this really, but I'm gonna put people on blast.
Uh-huh.
But the people who are trying to shut Rotten Tomatoes down because the score is so low. But we talked about it about this week or last week that Rotten Tomatoes is not a critic site.
Yeah. Well, it's an what do they call it? An aggregator.
Yes, it's just.
It's just a grouping of all the reviews that are posted and popular, mostly from notable critics out there. But yeah, like it is getting very negative reviews. It's sad because personally I enjoyed it. I might be in a minority here, but
I knew what I was going in when I saw it. I think anyone who hasn't seen it yet, you have to be aware of what you're seeing. It has a great first half of the movie. Then it ends right there, and you have the second half with a villain that doesn't really work, and you just have to get to the end. It's a really great end.
All that right there, just I was confused, but I do recommend a movie on top of this, which is Batman Assaulting on Arkham,
the animated film,
which is an animated version of Suicide Squad, released 2 years ago, and instead of Viola Davis. The Amanda Waller character is played by CCH Pounder.
Yeah.
Who's been playing her all the way back to Justice League.
Yes.
And I mean, the DC animated universe, a lot of fans do think that it's superior to the live action universe.
I do, personally.
And,
Yes?
I do, because, you can do anything with animation. And plus, the iconic Mark Hamill playing the Joker.
Yes, perfect. And Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Oh, yes.
Can't go wrong there.
But, I mean, Suicide Squad, I think that Jared Leto was okay. Viola Davis was okay as Amanda Waller. It was just they tried too hard. Maybe the director's edition will be better. But, I mean, they've done this topic so many times. They've done it in Smallville for like a whole season where it didn't work at all. They've done it on Arrow now.
What, you mean the bringing together...
The Task Force
The whole,
X.
the group.
Yes.
Justice League?
In Justice League also. That was actually a pretty great episode. If no one's ever seen Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, there's a great episode where Task Force X is put together, the Suicide Squad, and they have to go on a mission.
Also very similar to the live action film. Okay, what do you think about the current state of DC Comics movies?
It's dying a horrible death, but the funny thing about it is that DC is doing great on TV. Marvel's not so much, and I know Erica A. She cringes every time I say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
But Marvel also is taking over Netflix. You have Daredevil,
Jessica Jones.
They've given up on television and they've just moved on to Netflix.
I'm like Erica A. when it comes to Jessica Jones.
I mean, no, I didn't love it either, but it's kind of intriguing.
Pouty Lips, Kristen Ritter.
Though I do miss what was the other show with Agent Carter?
Carter? That's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No.
It was in the back in time.
It was back in the 40s and 50s when S.H.I.E.L.D. was first forming. That was Haley Atwell who played Agent Carter. She is sealed into that role.
Okay.
I mean, when it comes to television, that's one thing I think Marvel did well, and I wish it could come back for a third season.
Why did they cancel that?
Because it was on simultaneously with OJ, and everyone was watching The People versus OJ instead of watching it.
Everybody watched that?
I did. I was catching up. I was trying to watch both at the same time.
Now, do you guys think DC can catch up to Marvel's success?
I think DC should make its own success. It was doing so well until it felt Marvel envy. I think it needs to go back to its roots.
Well, yes. I mean, with Batman and Superman, you probably reviewed it up here. I didn't think that was a great movie. Then the Ultimate Edition, I give it about 10 more points for that one.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think they tried too hard on that one. I like Man of Steel, and I like the Chris Nolan Batman trilogy.
The Dark Knight trilogy.
And what about the old Batman movies?
We don't talk about the latter two, which is well, I like Batman Forever.
Batman has its moments,
yes.
But overall, I think it was a.
We just don't talk about Batman and Robin.
Film.
No, period.
Batman and Robin doesn't exist.
No,
there's Batman, there's Batman Returns, there's Batman Forever,
and
of course there's Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, that was animated.
Count that too.
But honestly, I didn't know this until later on. But Tim Burton had directed both the first and second one. That's why it was so dark. And as a kid, Danny DeVito scared me because he was with the hands with the penguin
and like the ink coming out of his mouth.
Yes,
weird, very disturbing.
And his nose and.
the whole backstory.
Yes.
Because the Penguin is actually a aristocrat.
Yeah, he's very classy.
And
owns a nightclub
and
well,
also
later on.
And also is played with he's played by Burgess Meredith back in the day. Who played Mick.
That's a good point.
But I am a fan of Gotham.
Good, yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, so great. The acting on that show is incredible. The name escapes me, but who plays Oswald Cobblepot?
Robin Lord Taylor.
Great actor. I want to see him in other stuff. I really do.
He's creepy as Loki.
Yes. But it was like, I was a little worried with the show, but I think it's really turned around. Anyone who's not a fan of Gotham should check it out.
Yeah.
But the DC Universe is doing well with that. It does well with its animated movies. It does well with its TV shows. It just needs to figure out needs
to be brought together into like one awesome movie.
It needs to find its niche in the movie world.
It's all scattered. They don't know what they're doing.
Well, number one, fire the writers. I mean, just completely. I mean, they're petitioning for Zack Snyder.
Okay.
So now we have the Justice League that's coming, but everybody likes Wonder Woman and Gal Gadot.
And she's gonna have her standalone film, right?
Yes.
Yes, and
could be okay.
We're excited to see Aquaman, aka Jason Momoa, who looks like WWE's
Yes.
Roman Reigns.
He's a little freaky. I'm not sure what I'm gonna think of Aquaman, but
I
we'll
know.
have to stay tuned.
I'm on the fence about that. I don't know.
But we'll have to stay tuned for next time and wait for those movies to come out.
We will.
So everyone, keep looking out. More DC movies are coming. But thanks, Shin Blade, for being on.
Thank you, Shin.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us too, guys. We're just going to be back with some more Legends TV after this brief commercial break. Thanks so much.
Being a fireman is more than just putting out blazes and giving kittens CPR. Sometimes my duty demands I fan the flames, like when a call comes in from a lady who needs immediate assistance. Maybe she needs help with a computer thing. Maybe she wants to go antique. Could be as simple as understanding that walking in heels it's hard. Aussi simple que l'été dernier à Paris. C'est sympa. Maybe it's ladies' night in, and she wants a simple, delicious recipe for margaritas. With a twist. First, a can of limeade. Now hold on to this. You'll be using it. Side note, kittens make everything better. Next, add water. Now, a bottle of light beer. No, shh. Trust me, I'm a professional. And last, and most important, Sauza Blue Tequila. Now, mix it up. Ole. Yes, that's what I'm trained for. Whether it's to help her choose leggings or pants, telling her leggings are pants, or discussing leggings and jeggings versus pant pegging at her next ladies' night in, I'll come to the rescue. Don't call me a hero. Just call me. Let me know what time.
Time, but things they've changed. First I just said I ain't with it. Used to trip behind issues. Looking in your eyes, it's not the same. Your mental's different now because you're feeling pain. But I'll still rep for you. But you gotta let me see you through. Why you won't come? Just come and talk to me. And I ain't feeling all these changing moods. Flipping through, what you need to do is talk. Girl, I just don't understand why you won't just come talk to me. And I ain't feeling all these changing moods. You flipping through, what you need to do is talk. watching all this drama at your crib, stressing family, you know how it is. I'll be there, iron the six. I'll be your stone, I'll help you resist. When everything is falling down and going wrong, I'll be your light, I'll be the one to keep you strong. Dead up true just for you, fight it through, I'll come through. I'll be right here. Just come talk to me, and I ain't feeling all these changing moods. You're flipping through, what you need to do is talk. Girl, I just don't understand why you won't come. Just come talk to me, and I ain't feeling all these changing moods. You're flipping through, what you need to do is talk. Girl, you know this is real. Come through, say what you feel. We show all our cards all the time. Trust with me, deal. Now my shoulders for you and my ears are for you. May not solve it, but I'll be here and I'll listen to you. Don't think that you gotta face it all alone. I'll be the one who makes you strong. I won't let you fall. Just come talk to me, and I ain't feeling all these changing moods. You're flipping through, what you need to do is talk. Girl, I just don't understand why you won't come. Just come talk to me, and I ain't feeling all these changing moods. You're flipping through, what you need to do is talk. I'd just like to thank WOA, Evan Ginsberg, Mr. Shin over here in New Band. You can get all this stuff on the Go and Chill Out Zone number 7. NIAS 2017. Look for us.